series, Lifestyle by Design. I am your host, Margaret Wiltshire, and tonight I have a guest, a very special guest, all the way from Dallas, Texas, Mr. John Sparks. John, welcome.
Thanks for having me, Margaret. How are you tonight?
I am doing okay. It's a little warm here in New York City today, and it's about time.
Oh, how warm.
It almost hit 80. That's pretty warm for what's been happening with the weather.
Okay. Yeah, I agree. That's warm for New York.
So I'll just let my guests know about John. John, whose Twitter handle is at I am John Sparks. John has been recognized as a 2016 powerful podcaster, big-time blogger, and social media star who can make you famous with the push of a button. He has also been recognized as one of the top 100 social media power influencers 2015, one of the top most valuable media influencers back in 2015 also. John's specialty is Twitter, but he teaches individuals who are interested in being online on the social media platform, how to start making money and building relationships. And he uses platforms or teaches on platforms such as Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, Pinterest, YouTube, and Google+. But pretty much any platform that there is available out there right now. John also has an amazing book, 365 ideas to go from good to great on Twitter. John let's see, I don't want to get this wrong, so I'm going to take my time. In February, John was ranked as having the 44th largest Twitter following in Dallas, right underneath the Dallas Stars, who were at number 39, and the Dallas Morning Show, who were at number 42. John is also the founder and the CEO of his own social media coaching and consulting company called Online Imageworks. He's also an adjunct professor teaching courses in the Mayborn School of Journalism at the University of North Texas. And he has a very extensive background in media. He's also a veteran newscaster. He's a veteran newscast producer and has worked in television stations in Dallas, Houston, Oklahoma City, Tulsa, and Orlando and Tampa. So I hope I got everything right. As we know, John knows what he's doing. Welcome.
Thanks.
So, John,
yeah,
can you tell me a little bit about your background in terms of, how you got into, say, journalism?
So I was born to be in journalism. My father was at a television station here in Dallas. Actually, he's worked at all the TV stations here in the Dallas area. He's also worked at WNBC, Channel 4, up in your neck of the woods in New York. And, just had a passion for news and following in his footsteps.
Okay. So you were destined then. And what was that like for you?
I enjoyed it. I had a great time doing it. So, basically what I did was I took my background in media and working as a writer and a television newscast producer, and combine that with my business background, getting my MBA at University of Miami, and then also as an educator, becoming a teacher and becoming certified as a public school teacher, and then combining all of those to start my own company and train people how to go from good to great on social media and become more visible online.
So how did you get into the social media scene?
Well, so that's a great question. So I was looking online one day and I was going through profiles on LinkedIn, because when I first started out MySpace was LinkedIn. That is when I started my company, and that was what I was all about, was LinkedIn. And so I was going through profiles, and I came across several profiles of individuals that identified themselves as a Forbes top 100 social media power influencer. And I was like, wow, that sounds like a great title to have. I want to have that title. What do I need to do to get that? And so I started investigating and digging and looking at all the other social media platforms for these same people to see if they were on them, and they were. And so I went to Twitter, and I saw where they had hundreds and hundreds of thousands of followers. Sparks had less than 800. And I knew that if I wanted to become a social media power influencer, recognized nationally, and have this title that's put out by Forbes magazine, then I needed to start making some goals and doing something quickly about Twitter. And so I went from less than 800 followers to almost 200,000 followers in 2 years. And I didn't buy any of my own followers. I did it all organically. Okay. And so that's what my book is about. I share my secrets in my book about how I went from less than 800 followers to almost 200,000 followers without buying any of them. My tips and tricks and secrets, all revealed.
And your book is available on Amazon, and you can order it in paperback, and it's available also in the Kindle version. It's actually an Amazon #1 bestseller in Kindle.
Absolutely, yeah.
So back then you said there was MySpace. There wasn't too many back in the MySpace. You know, people were just starting to create things. Facebook was around, but it was much smaller. What was the appeal with Twitter?
For me, or just in general, everyone?
For you. For you.
Well, so again, you know, I was interested in growing my business, and I was interested in becoming recognized nationally as a top 100 social media power influencer, and knew that, you know, look, when I was looking at my competitors, this was a deficit that I had. And so I started writing out my goals on index cards and putting them in plastic bags, and I made SMART goals. So SMART goals, everything's time bound, and you review them weekly, monthly. You keep going back to them and saying, am I doing this? And, you know, where am I now? And checking in and getting an accountability person and a mentor, and, you know, just one thing after another. And here we are. And so, you know, when you look at the different social media platforms, they're all important for different reasons. I mean, Facebook has done a great job of branding themselves as the Friends Network. LinkedIn is where people go for professional networking. However, when you connect with people on Facebook or LinkedIn, you have to send them a connection request, and then you have to wait until they accept that request in order for you to respond to them, depending on how they have their privacy settings set on Facebook. And then also, when you look at LinkedIn's terms of service, it specifically states you're not supposed to connect with people you do not know on LinkedIn. And a lot of people don't realize that. And it also says that when you're signing up for LinkedIn, you're agreeing that you understand that this is a legally binding contract between you and LinkedIn that you're agreeing to. And so where do you go to connect with people where you can get your message out, but they don't necessarily have to be following you, and you don't have to be following them? The answer is Twitter. And so hence, that's why a lot of celebrities and news organizations flock to Twitter, is because it's a great platform. And when you think of, you know, the big heavyweights on Twitter, you know, so Ashton Kutcher, Oprah, Demi Lovato, you know, Justin Bieber's, the Gagas, etc., you know, have millions and millions of followers. But how many people are they following? Less than 400, less than 300. And so, but they still get their message out. And so it's a great platform to communicate with their fans, and they don't necessarily have to accept friend requests and connection requests from them. So, you know, there's a lot of wonderful things and reasons why people should be on Twitter, and not just be on Twitter, but be active on Twitter as well.
You know, it's funny because I never paid attention to that. And that's pretty interesting, and it's valid, you know. That's interesting. I guess that's why you're the expert there. So tell me, how how were you able to start engaging people, to, you know, put your message out there and have people engage back with you?
Yeah, so I have a friend who was a former host of CBS This Morning, and her name's Renee Styler. And, you know, I was starting out on Twitter. I was brand new in this platform, in this space, and my computer would keep getting alerts. And 9 times out of 10, they were tweets from her that she was sending out to all of her followers. And so I'm, you know, tweeted her and I'm like, Renee, what's the trick to this? And she said, John, you just got to do it. And so I took that advice and I ran with it. You just got to do it. Yeah, you're going to make mistakes when you first start engaging with people, but you got to put it out there. And if you don't ask people to retweet something, then how do they know that that's what you want them to do? You've got to ask for what you want. I mean, the worst thing that somebody's going to tell you is no. And are they going to do that? I mean, well, look at the I Am John Sparks account.
Wow. Okay. You know, it's funny because I actually connected with you on Facebook, and I have found some of your posts to be very provocative. And I love, you know, I love when you post these very interesting pictures and you say, like, what's the first thing that comes to your mind? You know, it's usually something like, whoa, you know, really, it's, you look at it and there is one word that comes to your mind. And I noticed that a lot of people do engage in that. And also, one of the things that I really admire that you do that I actually don't see a lot of people doing, you are not afraid to talk about God. And that's something that I think people keep silent a bit. You know, they keep maybe politics or their faith, they keep it back, but you don't. And I admire that and I like that. Can you tell me a little bit about that?
Yes, and thank you for asking about that. I appreciate it. So, yeah, I mean, I'm a believer, I'm a Christian. And so, you know, look, one of my most popular tweets on Twitter is this tweet that I send out, and it's a very short tweet. And the tweet is, retweet as God blessed you today, is all it says. And so I design a graphic, and I use a program called Pixlr.com, which is like the free version of Photoshop, to design a graphic that says, retweet if God blessed you today. And so I'll send that out once a day, and people retweet it like crazy. And so it just happened by accident that I tried it one day. And so it caught on and people enjoyed it and retweeted it. And so I figured, okay, well, who are the people that are retweeting this? And let me follow them and see if they follow back. And sure enough, they follow back. And then one thing led to another. And so, you know, it's this idea that a lot of people are searching for God, literally and figuratively. So a lot of these people are just typing in God in a Twitter search and seeing what's coming up because they're searching for him. And my tweet happens to come up and they retweet it and they follow me and the rest is history. Here we are. So, but yeah.
Okay. So were there ever, so when you are about to post something that may seem, it could be provocative, right? Like, I don't like posting anything about politics because I know that people can be really extreme about it. So I will keep silent on anything political. Is there like maybe a fear that you have, or, you know what I'm getting at? What gives you the courage, you know, to tweet something that may possibly be provocative?
The idea that it's life is not about our comfort, but it's about our character. And so sometimes we just have to take chances and take risk and put it out there and see how people engage with it. And so, but, you know, that, having said that, Margaret, what I'll also tell you is that I carefully think before I send something out, is this going to be something that's seen as something that's positive and uplifting, or is this something that is not? And so, you know, I operate under this idea that people should either be positive or be quiet on social media. And I look at social media from a flip perspective, that it's, you know, it's not about me, it's about other people. People reach out to people who reach out. Zig Ziglar says that you can have anything you want if you just help enough other people get what they want. So it's not about me and putting posts out there that say I. It's about being intentional and purposeful with our post and what we're putting out there. And so looking at things from a flip perspective and making it about other people and what do they think? What do they prefer? Who do they want to win for president of 26? It's not about what I want. It's about my followers and and I'm interested in hearing from them. It's kind of like you're a moderator and you've got this platform, you're putting it out there. And so people respond. And when they respond, you retweet it. And then how do they feel when you retweet it to 290,000 people? Well, they feel welcome, special, and appreciated. And so then when you put something out that you're going to be on Margaret Wiltshire's podcast tonight or Google Hangout, then, what are they going to do? They're going to retweet that as well because, it's led up to this and you've retweeted them when they didn't even ask for it. So when you don't even ask for it and you least expect it, they're going to return it. It's this idea of doing to others that you have them do unto you. If people follow you, or if people follow me, then I believe I should follow them back. If I follow somebody, then I believe they should follow me back. Otherwise, I'm going to flush them and get rid of them. I'm going to give them a certain amount of time to follow me back, but then I'm going to do away with them. And I've got a platform that I use that I talk about in my book, 365 Ideas, that I go out and I follow up to 1,500 people every single day, and I give them 7 days. And when they don't follow me back, they're gone. How we get off talking about that, I don't know.
It's okay. We're talking about engagement. And that was a strategy there, actually. And I do think that's interesting thing. Like, I actually believe that I suck on Instagram. I love Instagram, but I absolutely suck. I have about 6 people who are the only 6 people that actually engage, and they will like anything I put out. One person is someone I don't even know. She's from Latvia in Eastern Europe, but she likes everything that I put out. So I like everything that she puts out. And it's funny that you said that, because I recently said, this is horrible. And I'm going to go through everyone that's not following me back and just, unfollow them, because it's almost like a one-way conversation. That's what it feels like. It feels like they're just talking at me. They put stuff out and they expect you to like it, and they don't respond. So it's not really, there's no engagement there. And to me, it feels a little unfair. I think it's like just looking for an audience so you can kind of like talk at them and not really share and go back and forth.
Absolutely, Margaret. And so it's this idea, what we're talking about right now is that life is about relationships. And if it's not, it darn well should be. And so at the very core of why we do what we do on social media is relationships, forming relationships. And so how can you have a relationship? I mean, that involves 2 individuals, not just one person. And so if it's not, then why are we following those people? We have to ask ourselves sometimes tough questions like that. And so there we are.
Yeah. So now you mentioned, and this is something that I love to get at a lot on my show and draw out for my audience to see, right? So you talked about, you were scanning one day and you saw this title and you was like, hey, that sounds interesting. I'd like to do that. Then you made SMART goals. You checked in, you saw where you are, how far along you came. You knew what you had to do in order to achieve that result that you wanted. What was that? Tell me about a challenging time within that process. Or was there a challenging time when you may have had some doubt?
I wouldn't say doubt. I think that it requires a certain level of attitude and persistence. I think attitude and persistence are key. in any strategy. And so you can have anything you want if you have those two things. And so you just have to persevere and continue in spite of difficulties. And yeah, I mean, are there bumps in the road? Absolutely. It does require, long hours. And I'll say the social media part doesn't necessarily require the long hours, because I've got that down to science where I can do that, all of it, in less than an hour a day. But it's, the sacrificing that you have to make outside of just the social media part. You become seen as a public figure. So, it's the podcast. I speak more about it than I actually do it. It's the, speaking and then the coaching part of it, and then the podcast and the interviews and the request and the email, et cetera, et cetera. But the social media part of it, that takes a very small chunk of that time.
Okay. And what do you say to someone? Because I think a lot of people struggle with, I know I was guilty of it for a little bit. When you just start, some people have this idea that things would just like immediately happen, and it doesn't. And you have to put in the work. You have to be consistent. You have to build, but what would you, as a professional and having this down to a science, say to like a newbie or somebody who's interested in maybe following in your footsteps?
Well, so branding is huge. And so coming up with a brand for yourself and then aligning it across the board, because another reason why we do what we do on social media is because people will not look hard to find people in this year. They just won't. And so, it's important that you align your brand across the board. So if people are to for me, they can find me at pretty much the same place on all the social media platforms, right? So you can find me at I am John Sparks on Twitter, which you had mentioned. You can find me at Facebook.com/I am John Sparks, or LinkedIn.com/IN/I am John Sparks, or Instagram at I am John Sparks. But it's having this idea. So if you don't have your business card with you and you're out networking, or you happen to run into somebody at the grocery store that you haven't seen in a long time, and they say, well, where can I find you? You're not telling them 4 different places. It's about your audience. It's about them and making it easy for them and accessible on them to find you. And that's what does it.
What was one of your funniest moments?
Oh, funniest moments. Narrow it down to one. I don't know. That's a great question. Funniest moments. I don't know if I've ever been asked that before.
Good.
Moments. I'll think about that and let you know.
Okay. I'm sure you've had a few. I think, okay. So when did you know that, hey, I am successful. I am this successful social media influencer? The moment of realization.
The moment of realization. Well, I guess the moment of realization for me was I received a phone call one night, and it was from someone that I was meeting with over at coffee, and she said, do you realize that you have this many followers? And I said, I really hadn't checked Twitter in a couple weeks. I didn't know that. And so I got on there and I was like, wow, you're absolutely correct. And I said, okay, so maybe I just need to step it up just a little bit more and see where we can end up going. And so, the lists are nice. The numbers are nice. The accolades are nice, but it's not about any of that. Again, it's about helping other people and having a passion for truly sharing your knowledge and information with other individuals and helping them become successful and reach their goals. And so that's when you realize that you're an influencer. Look, you didn't influence one person. You're an influencer. It doesn't matter that, it's nice to have the 290,000 followers. Yeah. But at the same time, if none of them purchase anything from you and you're not making a difference in any of their lives, then what does it matter that you have them? It doesn't.
Yeah.
You know, it's about quality as well, quality relationships. And so, you know, it's important that we recognize that just as it is important to be online, it's also important to be offline and building those relationships as well. And a lot of the higher conversion rates happen offline versus online. So it's about bringing the online offline and making those conversions. And so, yeah. So in a nutshell, that's when I kind of realized it.
Okay. So John, you have your own business, Online Image Works, and you're also a teacher, you're a professor. So I can clearly see there that you really enjoy helping people. What is maybe one of your more fulfilling, not fulfilling, that's the wrong word, not meaningful, but one of your happier stories of someone that you were able to help and see them develop?
Oh, there's so many of them. I mean, just everybody that I come into contact with and working with them, it's just been an honor and a pleasure. And so everybody brings a different piece, and everybody's story is different. And so I just enjoy people and connecting with them and loving them and encouraging them right where they are, and vice versa. And so it's just one of my passions. I'm passionate about people.
Okay. So tell me a little bit about what you do at your business. Who do you help? Who do you serve? And what the process is like?
Yeah, well, so, I mean, I work with anyone that you can think of. I mean, small business owners, media personalities, journalists, celebrities, just people that are looking to grow their visibility. And so another reason why we do what we do on social media is for SEO, or search engine optimization. So again, this whole idea that people won't work hard to find you. And so when they go to a search engine and type in your name, where you come up in the search. And so working with people to turn negatives into positives, and you name it. I mean, it's I've worked with several people that have been interested in getting help with writing press releases for media, that are interested in have a product or have a 501(c), a nonprofit, and are trying to, you know, get the word out about different campaigns that they're doing or working on to benefit different causes that they're passionate about. You know, all of the above, all of the above.
Okay. Sounds like fun, and it sounds very fulfilling.
Every day is different.
Yeah. Okay. So what's on the horizon for you?
Yeah, so there's another book coming out along the lines of the 365 ideas, be coming out either later this summer or first part of fall. And more speaking engagements, international speaking engagements, national speaking engagements, more coaching, and just more loving and encouraging on people. I mean, that's what I enjoy doing. And tweeting. I should not leave that.
No, you should not. So tell me about one of the biggest mistakes you've encountered that people make trying to create their online presence.
Sure. So again, going back to what we were talking about earlier, and writing the post, being mindfulness, this whole idea of mindfulness and thinking before you actually post something. How does this relate to my brand? Is it positive and uplifting? Be positive and be quiet, because there's so much negativity on social media that if you offer something different, and we were talking about this earlier before the Hangout started, right? I mean, we were talking about television news, and I told you I worked in television news for a long time, and the part that I didn't tell you is one of the reasons I got out of it is because there are so much negative stories. And so you do sit there and you write a lot about shootings and stabbings, and it does have an impact on you, even as a writer sitting in a newsroom reporting the news to viewers. And so it's this whole idea of mindfulness. And I forgot where we're going with this. I had an idea of where I wanted to go with this, but I kind of lost track. So
it's okay. The question was, what's one of the biggest mistakes that people make?
So not being mindful before they send something out, thinking before they tweet, and so how does it affect other people, and recognizing that it's not about us, but it is about other people.
Okay. How do you come up with content or come up with an idea to, tweet?
Terrific question. I use several tools to help me find my voice for that particular day. And so I look at, and I talk about these in the book as well, the nationaldaycalendar.com. I keep up with that every single day. So I know when it's going to be National Ice Cream Day or National Hot Dog Day.
Oh, there's a central place that you can find all these days you've never heard of. What is it called?
Absolutely. It's called the National Day Calendar. National Day.
Okay.
Yeah. So the National Day Calendar at nationaldaycalendar.com. And so you can see every single day something is going on. And so today, what is today? It's like National Nutty Fudge Day. And so I put a little graphic together that says, retweet and wish everyone a happy hashtag National Nutty Fudge Day. And so where did I get that? I got that from the National Day Calendar. And so a lot of times, especially if we're talking about food, because everything, Margaret, comes back to food and TV. Food and TV. Okay. I mean, seriously, that's what everything comes back to. And so if it's food or TV, then, putting a little graphic together on Pixlr.com and sending it out and looking at National Day Calendar and doing some research to find out what the hashtag is that people are using and asking for the retweet, and then taking it one step further from there. And so are there questions that we can have kind of an impromptu Twitter chat about? Tweet me. What is your favorite kind of nuts to put inside of chocolate? Do you prefer almonds, pistachios, peanuts, walnuts, pecans? What do you prefer? Tweet me for a retweet. And so then all these people respond to it. And then when they respond to it, you retweet them. And then you have a poll. And you say, tweet me and vote now. And so Twitter, you can do all these polls now. I think Twitter got the idea for me because I was doing these tweet me conversations when I was asking, what do you prefer more, chocolate chip ice cream or chocolate mint ice cream? And somebody at Twitter saw that and saw how much engagement, and I was like, well, what if we put a poll together and allow people to send out a question and then poll individuals for a certain amount of time, and maybe that's a way that we can increase engagement. So, okay, I do polls too. So, I enjoy it. I enjoy all of it. So diversification is key in any social media strategy. So, when you tune in to the I Am John Sparks account, it's a surprise. You never know what you're going to get. I might be tweeting out something from the National Day Calendar, or I might be posting something like Wednesday Wisdom or Motivation Monday or Throwback. It's like a news feed. It's like tuning into CNN, but better yet, it's not CNN, but maybe the Carol Burnett show back from the 70s or Saturday Night Live or something like that, where there's all these skits and you never know. It's a variety show of sorts. And people are tuning into the variety show and they're responding and they're engaging and we're having a great time.
That's awesome. That's really awesome. And it's out of the box thinking too, and it's fun and it's positive. So that's actually a really great idea. And for those who are listening and want to get involved, John's giving really great advice. So there you have that with that. John, I want to know about your podcast. Can you tell us about your podcast?
Yes, I have a podcast. This is new. I don't know.
I thought you had a podcast.
No, Well, I do a lot of podcast projects with other individuals, but I don't have an I Am John Sparks. I don't have a specific podcast that's my podcast. Yeah,
Maybe that was a message for you there.
maybe. Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know. I swore that let me take that back. I did not swear. Could have sworn. Okay. Sorry about that. So I don't know. Maybe that was a message for you that you should be creating one.
I mean, there's a lot of things that I Am John Sparks should be doing, that not do. I mean, I should be better at blogging. I should be better at podcasting. I mean, there's not enough time in the day to do it all. And so you have to look at where you're going to get the most bang for your buck. And that's what you go after. And so for me, it's been Twitter, and I've been very blessed in that area. And so I just enjoy connecting with individuals on that platform, and continue, and maybe podcast or more blogging is down the line, and definitely interested in considering other opportunities as well. And so we'll just continue and see what the Lord has in store.
Okay. Can you tell me maybe 5 of your top favorite people to follow on Twitter?
Oh, wow. Okay, so I use this tool called socialrank.com, socialrank.com. So with the number of followers that any individual has, when you reach a certain size, people always ask me, do you know who's actually following you? And the answer is yes. I know who all of them are, and I know their Twitter handles. And so I use this tool called socialrank.com, and it tells me, it divides everyone up into the best followers, my most engaged followers, and my most valuable followers. So my most valuable followers are the people that are the heavy influencers or the big brands. And then you've got the best followers, which are a combination of the most engaged follower. Let me back up. So the most engaged follower. So let me start. You've got the most valuable followers, and then you got the most engaged followers, right? They're the ones that you send out a tweet and question. They're going to be the ones that respond back. And then you've got the best followers, which are a combination of the most engaged followers the most valuable followers and the most engaged. I've really messed this up tonight.
It's okay. It's okay.
And so I can look on there and I can see who the best followers are. And so I can even see by city who the best followers are. So do you want to know who my most valuable followers are? I mean, is that, or people that I typically enjoy engaging with, responding and speaking to?
People who you typically engage with, and you enjoy their content.
So a lot of different people. So 5 people. So wow. Okay, I'm gonna have to narrow this down. I like in New York City, in your area, I like Tamsin Fidel over at WPIX. I think she puts a lot of great content out there and has a great Twitter account and is very engaging and responds to people and likes people and retweets and does it even during the commercial breaks of her newscast, which I think is incredible. How she does it, I don't know. So I like her stuff. Let's see, who else do I like? I like Gloria Stefan. Gloria Stefan from Gloria Stefan and the Miami Sound Machine. I like the content that she puts out. I think that it's really engaging. I like Lisa Gibbons. Celebrity Gibbons. I think she does a phenomenal job. Jeffrey Hazlett. Jeffrey Hazlett was the chief marketing officer of Kodak for several years, and people may recognize him from his appearances on Celebrity Apprentice with Donald Trump. So I think that he does an awesome job. And then we were talking earlier about our friend and pal, Sri Srinivasan. I think over at the Met, I think that he does a phenomenal bang out job as well. So, those are several people that I really enjoy.
Okay. That's awesome. Now, can you tell the audience, something, a message that you think that people should know? It's just something that should know. Maybe I'm not asking, maybe it's something that's usually overlooked, but what do you think people should know about social media?
Okay. Let's see. There's so much to it, but that you can achieve whatever it is that you want to achieve if you just go out there and you start following people and engaging with people and understanding that it's not about us, it's about other individuals and helping them. And when you do that, the people are going to flock to you, and they're going to flock to you in droves.
And what have you learned about yourself during this process?
How much I enjoy it. Again, I knew I had a passion for people, but I didn't know how deep that passion was. So I've recognized that. I've recognized my limitations, my strengths and my weaknesses, and built closer relationships with God and my family and my followers and my community, and it's been a wonderful ride. It's been a wonderful experience. I wouldn't trade it for anything.
Okay. So now, this part of the show, I like to ask my guests to give 3 action steps that people can implement into their lives right away. So in this case, it would be someone who wants to have a presence online for whatever reason. What are 3 action steps that they can implement into their lives immediately, like right after this podcast, to start living that dream?
Sure. So first, get 365 ideas to go from good to great on Twitter, because again, there's so many ideas in the book, and at one level it's about Twitter, but at a whole nother level, it's not just about Twitter. It's got tools in there that will help you be effective on all the other platforms, because it's about productivity. And so why it's important to be online and on our computers, it's also again important to be offline. And so how do you do both of those things? How are you able to be online and on Twitter, but then at the same time be at a networking group where you're going to have a higher conversion rate? So I would encourage people to pick up the book. The other thing I would encourage people to do is to go out and follow people. And so I mentioned earlier that I follow between 1,400 and 1,500 new people every day. And so if you're just starting out, do not do that because Twitter will shut you down. But start out following maybe 100, 150 new people every day. And so my book talks about the tools that you can find those people. There's a site called Twello.com, TWELLOW.com, which is like the yellow pages of Twitter. And so you can look up people by industry on there. And so find people in your chosen industry and follow them through Twello, and it will follow them on Twitter, and then give them a certain amount of time to follow you back. And if they don't, flush them. I mean, Twitter is a great prospecting tool. So what are you selling? You're selling you as a go-to person, or the what's the word I'm looking for? The go-to person in your industry.
Okay. And one last question. What do you think about the live streaming now for Twitter? The Periscope, Blab, and Meerkat?
It's phenomenal. I mean, bring it on. I mean, I'm not as active. I mean, again, when we're talking about things that I could be better at, that's one of the areas that I could beef up. It's doing Periscopes and doing Meerkat. I mean, when Meerkat first started out, I mean, I did a couple Meerkats. I got a T-shirt, Meerkat T-shirt, which I have, and then Periscope started out, and so I really, to be honest with you, can I tell you a secret? I've not done one live Periscope, and it's been out over a year now, and I've got almost 7,000 followers on Periscope, and I feel like I'm letting that audience down because they're all following me.
They're waiting for you.
They're waiting for me to show up, and so perhaps maybe I'm missing out. But I mean, the first lady of Periscope is my precious friend Kim Garst, and she's another person that I think puts out terrific content, Kim Garst. And so she's done a great job of really going after Periscope and that market, and I really applaud her for that. It's done a dang awesome job of that.
Okay. Well, John, I want to thank you so much for spending your Thursday night here with me. In New York, you're in Dallas. You had a lot to offer, and you talked about your journey, talked about your goals, you talked about being consistent, being resilient, not giving up, and that's really important because lots of people in life have dreams too, whatever their dreams are. And sometimes when it gets a little bit challenging, they allow the fear to come in and shut everything down. And you are a living example that if you persist and you just keep doing it, like you said, you got to do it, what can happen? You are showing us, you're leading by example and showing the possibilities. And thank you for being that example.
Well, thank you for having me. And if I can help any of our audience in any way, I'd be more than happy to. I mean, they can email me at iamjohnsparks@gmail.com, or they can reach out to me at Twitter or Facebook or whatever is easiest for them at I Am John Sparks. And it was a pleasure speaking with you today as well. And, let's do it again. Let's do it again. I had a great time.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. It's an honor, and I'd love to have you back on the show again. Thank you so much. And everyone, I want to say thank you for spending your time here and listening. And if you thought that, you received valuable content, go out and share it. Share it with someone who you think will benefit from this. Like, comment, subscribe, and let us know what you think. If you have any questions for John, he did mention where you can meet him. iamjohnsparks.com. I am John Sparks. Probably just Google it and all his different platforms will come up. I am John Sparks at gmail.com. You can email him directly there. So let's thank our guest for spending his precious time with us tonight.
Thank you. I mean, you're the one that, without you, this wouldn't have been possible. So again, Margaret, thank you. I appreciate it.
Oh, thank you, John. Thank you very much. And everyone, have a good night. Be safe.